Okay, 108B. 108B, about 5 lines from the bottom. Yeah, Amr of Chana Bar Levi. Chana Bar Levi said, Amr Chana Bar Levi, Amr Shem Rav Eliezer. So now we're gonna have a conversation between Eliezer and Shem. So he also Alaichu Malache Mizrach Umarib. So we know Avram Avinu fought a battle against the 4 kings, and he was victorious. How did that happen? So awesome. So when all the kings came from the east and the west, so where did Avram Avinu go? How did he survive? Awesome. How was he victorious? Awesome. What happened to him? So Amarle Eliezer told him, Hashem took Avram Avinu, and he put him on the right of him. Afra. So Avram's sitting up there next to Hashem, and when he would take Afra, he would take some dirt, he would throw it. What would happen? It would turn into swords. And Gili, he would take straw, the Have Giri, it would turn into arrows. So in the battle of the 4 kings, Avram Avinu was there throwing dirt and straw, and it was turning into swords and arrows. You have where we are, Jules?
Oh, where are we?
My metric system or your metric system? We're 108B.
108B, okay, right here.
Almost at the very, very end. So, and where do we? This is alluded to in the verse in Tehillim. It says, "Mizshanem or Mizmal David Nu'um Hashem." So it says in Tehillim that Shav li yamini, so place the one to the right of me, referring to Avram Avinu, ad ashis oivecha hadum l'raglecha, until all the enemies are already like by your feet, until they're all destroyed. That's referring to Avram Avinu, who sat to the right of Hashem, so to speak, and was throwing down dirt and straw, turned into swords and arrows, and it destroyed them. Uksiv, it says, Mi Heyer Mi Mizrach. So who's going to awaken the one from the east, referring to Avram Avinu, because he was from Aram Naharaim, the town of Aram Naharaim, which was in the east. Tzedek Yikru'uhu, the Raglu, we're going to call it righteousness to him. Yitin Lefanav Goyim, we're going to basically give to him the other nations. He's going to rule over the other nations. He's going to destroy them. U'malachim Yerid Yitin Ka'afar Charvo Kikash Nodev Kashto. So the kings, he's going to rule over the kings, just like the dirt of the sword, which is referring to what he did, and Kikash Nodev Kashto, just like the straw that he used to throw down that became an arrow. You have weird Jules?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Good. Okay. Now, famous person, Nachum Ish Gamzu. Nachum, Rabbi Akiva is one of Rabbi Akiva's rebbeim. He always said, Gamzu Latova. It's all for the good. So, Nachum Ish Gamzu, Haya Ragil, the Kol Dahavi Salkale, Amar Gamzu Latova. He would always say, Gamzu Latova. So, Yom Achada, what happened? So, Yom Achada, Bo Yisrael, the Shaduri Dor on the Kesar. The Jews wanted to send a present to the Caesar. So, Amri, who are they going to choose? Amri, Bahadi Man Nishadar. Nishadar, who we're going to send? So they said, Nishadar Bahadi Nachamish Gamzu Demalumad Benisimhu. We should send Nachamish Gamzu. Why? A lot of miracles happened to him. He's very accustomed to miracles. So, there's one guy that's going to be reliable, get the job done. We'll send him to Nachamish Gamzu. Now, Kimatu Laho Diura. When he came to a certain inn, so he came with some goods. He came with a whole suitcase packed. So they asked him, who packed your bag? Can I look inside? So Bola Mebas. So they wanted to look inside. So Amri, he wanted to go and sleep there. And they asked him, what are you carrying? So Amri Le, my Ikabada, what do you have with you? So Amr Lahu, he said to them, Kamo Vilna Kragala Kesar. I'm bringing a gift to the Caesar. So Kamo Balayla. Obviously, they're smart. They waited for the nighttime. Yeah, Sharino Lasifte, they opened up his box of goods. Vishaklu, they took all the whatever it was, the jewels and the pearls and the diamonds. Vishaklu called the Havigabe, whatever he had with him, they took. But they're smart. They replaced it with dirt. So Umalinu Afra. So it still felt as heavy. Yeah, they put patern in it, zipped it back up, and they left. No. Kimata lahasam nachem yishgam went to the Caesar. Ishtachich afra. All of a sudden, they opened up. Here he comes, the present of the king, to the Caesar. They open up, it's full of dirt. So that's it with him. Amar achucha mechayche biyudai. You Jews are laughing upon me. You bring me a present of dirt, making a laughing stock out of me. So what they do, like all good kings, afkula miktale. They brought him out to kill him. You make a laughing stock of the king, off with your head. So Amar, so Nachamish Gamzu, he stays consistent. Gamzu Latova. Even this is for the good of what Hashem wants. Now, Asa Eliyahu Navi came in. The Idmi Lahu Kichad Minayu. He made himself be like one of the officers. And Amar Lahu, he told them, listen, guys, this dirt is special dirt. Dilma Hay Afra, you know where it's from? It's out for the Avram Rabinu. It's that dirt that Avram used to destroy the 4 kings. So, the Havi Shadi Afra, when you throw the dirt, it becomes a sword. And Gile Havi Giri, if you throw straw, so then it becomes an arrow. So that's what Avram Avinu did. So Baduk Vashko, they went and they tried it out. It worked. So now what happened? They tried it now in real life. There's a certain place that they were not able to conquer. So what they do? Take your tools out of your toolbox. Shadumahu Afra. They took the dirt. They threw it. What happened? It became a sword. Killed the enemy of Vikavshua. So now Mr. Nachum Ishgamzukap brought back from death row. And not only that, he went into the inner palaces of the king. Take whatever jewels you want. So I know that the Beganza, he went to the inner chambers, and Amri Shakal the Nichalach Male the Sifta the Hava. Take your suitcase and fill it up with gold. Whatever you want, you could take. Okay, so he did. Filled up the suitcase and came back. Now it's interesting, he went back to the same inn. There's a Rashi and Breishis about this, that it's a derech eretz, it's proper conduct. When you travel on the way, on your way back, to stop in the same inn. Only difference is, the last time he was here, they robbed him. So, and he still went back to the inn. That's interesting. So Kiasa Hadar Amrulay. So he came back and they asked him, Amrulay, Hanach to Yure, my Amtalabe Malka, like, what'd you bring to the king? They're all excited for the big prank that they pulled, the April Fool's prank they pulled on him. Amrullahu, what do you mean? My the Shaklim Mahacha Amtilasam. Whatever I had in my suitcase over here, whatever you put for me here, whatever I had over here, I took. So now they're like, oh my gosh. So it sounds like there's some like miraculous dirt that we put into the suitcase. They didn't realize that it wasn't them, it was him. So they tried to replicate, but it's not going to work. Shukli Inu, they fill up their suitcases full of dirt, and they traveled up to the Caesar, Amtula Hasam, and opened it up. They saw there was dirt there. It wasn't miraculous. And what happened? They killed him. Katlu Lahanuk Dire. They killed his people from the end. So that didn't work. Only worked for Nachamish Gamzu. Okay. Dora Flaga and Haba. The Dora Flaga, the door that built the tower after the flood, they do not have a portion in the next world. What do they do? Amr Rabbi Shila. They said, Nivne Migdal Venalarakia. Let's build a big tower. Let's go rise to the heavens. Venaka so Bikardomas. We're gonna hit it with axes, with saws. Kadesha Zubu Mema, that water should come out. A certain kind of rebelliousness against Hashem. So this interpretation was laughed upon. Machaku Allah b'ma'arava. In the West, they laughed upon this interpretation. Morning, Jared. Im Kain. So if they want to go, why have they build? They just build Livni Echad Betura. Just build one tower on top of the mountain if you want to get to the top. So they didn't like this interpretation. So Ella must be Amr Yomei Bar Elazar Neklu Shalosh Kitos. They were divided up into 3 groups. Achas Amaris Nalav and Eshiv Sham. Let's just go and reside over there. The Achas Amaris Nalav and Nalav Osachavim. Let's climb up to the tower and serve idols. The Achas Amaris Nalav and Nasim Milchama. Let's go up there and wage war. Nasim Milchama. Zu Shomer Nalav and Eshiv Sham. The one group that says let's go and reside there. What happened to them? Hipitzam Hashem. Hashem spread them out. He scattered them, dispersed them across the world. The Zu Shomer is Nalav Nasa Milchama. The one that decided to wage war against God, what happened to them? Nasu, they became Kofim, apes, Veruchos, some kind of spirits, the Shadim, some kind of demons, the Lilin, some kind of other angelic beings. So it's a midah connected midah. They wanted to wage war against the celestial beings. They themselves became these demon-like figures. Okay, so the last group, let's go up and serve idols on top of the tower. What happened to them? They were the ones that no longer could speak one language. Hashem confused all the languages, and now there's many languages across the world. Okay. Tanya, Rabbi Nassan Omer, Kulam l'shem avodos chavim nischavnu. All three groups, their intention was to serve idols on top of the tower. It says over here, Naslan shame, make for us a name. Don't mention other gods' names. The word name is in context of other gods. So too here, it's referring to idol worship. Just like in the other context over there, talking about other gods, as the verse states. So too here, shame is also referring to other gods. Okay. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Migdal, what happened to this tower? So, Shlish Nisraf, a third was burnt. Shlish Nivla, a third was swallowed up. Shlish Kayim, and a third still existed. It remained intact. Amar Rav Avir, Migdal Mishkach. Very interesting. If you come within the vicinity of this tower that was created, you are going to forget. Sounds like you're going to forget your Torah knowledge. Yeah. No, not only Torah knowledge, you're going to forget your language. It causes forgetfulness. Amar of Yosef. So Babel uborsif simin ra Torah. So Babel and Borsif are a bad sign for Torah. So Babel, we just said, or this tower Babel, but it caused you to forget your learning. Mai Borsif Amar of Asi Bor Shafi. So a Borsi is a Bor Shafi, some kind of pit that was emptied out. That was yeah. So both this tower and this pit both caused forgetfulness. Okay. Anshe Stone. This is going to go for a nice amount of time. Anshe Stone. So the people of Stone. So now let's learn about how many bad things that Stone do in great detail. Anshe Stone. They don't have a portion in the next world. Ra'im, they were evil, and they sinned la Hashem towards God. So Ma'od. Ra'im, they were so evil in this world, and they sinned in the next world, meaning their bad sins took them out of this world and the next world. They were evil with their bodies and they were evil with their money. Ra'im begufan, how do you know they were evil with their bodies? Because the verse says, by Dina, I think, so it says there, Hara'a Hagdola Hados. There, the word Ra'a is referring to a physical, something terrible physically. V'chatasi lelukim. But the word chatas is lelukim. That's referring to, v'chatasi lelukim. There, the word Ra is referring to a terrible bodily act. Now, v'chatayim b'mamonam. How do you know that chatayim means evil with your money? Dichsiv, as it says in Devarim, v'hayabecha chet la'Hashem. So you should be very careful. There it's talking about the Shemitah year and taking care of the poor people, and make sure you do that. And if not, you're going to have a sin. There it's referring to financially aveiros that can be caused through your finances, and there the word is chet. So Ra is referring to a bodily aveira, and chet is referring to a monetary aveira. Okay, La Hashem zu birchas Hashem. So La Hashem means to God that they would blaspheme God. Ma'od, the word ma'od in the verse by Stone is shemischavnim v'chotim. They would have a lot of intent and do an aveira. It wasn't like happens to be. They intended, they wanted to rebel against God, and they did. B'masnisatana, in the academy they taught, Rayim is b'mamona. The word Rayim actually means with their money. V'chatayim begufan. The word chet is with their body. So they switch it. Rayim b'mamona. The word Ra can refer to terrible things done with your money. They say v'rei necha b'achaka ha'avyon. So you necha b'achaka ha'avyon. Also referring to a the poor person, and there the same word re'eh is from the ra, it's ra. So that word is referring to evil done with money. V'chatayim begufan, d'chsiv, as the verse says in also over there by Dina, v'chatasi le'elukim, that also there the word by Dina has the word chatasi. So either stone, the word, it said ra v'chata by stone. Either ra means your money or it means your body, and chet either means your money or it means your money. Either way, they sin terribly in both areas, with their body and with their money, as we will see. La Hashem, everyone agrees upon. Zu birchas Hashem, stone blasphemed God. They cursed Hashem me'od, but the word me'od in the academy they taught it means zu shvichas damim. That's referring to murder. How do I know? Because it says Shnamar Gam Dam Nochi Shafach Menashe Harbe Me'od. So there Menashe spilled so much blood. Harbe Me'od, the word Me'od is in the context of spilling blood. So too in our context it's referring to spilling blood. Tanar Banan Anshes Dome Lonus Go Ela Bishvil Tova Shishpilam Baruch. Same as the flood. All the good that Hashem gave them, they got super arrogant, and that was part of their downfall. So Umak Sibam, what does it say? So it's interesting. All these psukim in Eov are describing Sdom. Just interesting. Eretz Mimenu Yatza Lechem. It's a land. It was so prosperous. Bread came out of there. But its bottom turned into fire. So Makom sphere. It's a place of sphere of sapphire, of anel, pearls, beautiful rocks. The Afro Zahavlo, different gold jewels. Nisivlo Yadu. However, the path was not known. Ayit velo shizofsu ayin. The vultures didn't see that. So we're going to describe that people didn't travel through there. Aye lo hidrechuhu. Aye lo hidrechuhu. I is referring to a lion. Mighty beasts. Okay. Did not pass through there. Did not trample upon it. B'nei shachat. Oh, here are the lines. B'nei shachat. Lo edolav shachel. So different kinds of both, different kinds of lions. Words for lion. They didn't go through there. Yeah, they didn't go through there. They didn't pass through there. Yeah. Amru. So now they said Amru. So now the verse is implying people didn't pass through there. People didn't pass through. Animals didn't pass through there. Why not? Amru. Our land is full of bread. The Afro Zahav and these beautiful gold.
Dust of gold.
Was it?
The very dust is gold.
The very dust?
Dust.
Oh, the dust is gold, meaning it was so prosperous that the dust was gold. So then, what do we need passerbyers for? They're just going to come and buy out our gold. They're only coming to make us lacking from our money. So better just keep them out and don't invite them in. So let's forget about this idea of passerbyers in our country. Our country, no one comes through. Shinemar, as it says, Paretz Nachal Ma'amgar, that the stream flowed through Me'amgar from this nation. Hanishkachim Money Regal, the nation that forgot about passerbyers, that forgot people that passed through with their feet. So Dalu Me'enish No. So Dalu, this water came up and it and covered them, right? And submerged them. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Darash Shava Ma'idechsiv. What does the verse say in Tehillim? Ad ana tehosasu. So until when you're going to be conspiring, gathering together to trick people? Al ish. So what do they do? You kill people by putting them next to a wall, and not together hidichuya, and you put them next to a toppling fence. What does that mean? Referring to this generation of Sdom, people of Sdom. Melamed shayunozim and bebali mamon. They saw people that were very rich, and what would they do? Umoshivan also eitel kir, not doing. They put next to a leaning wall, and what would happen? Bedochen also love, and they'll go and push the wall on him, kill the guy, and take his money. Bedochen also love, but not let his mamono. and they would go and take the money. Darashar might have said, what does it say in back to Eov? Chatar b'choshek, they would tunnel through in the nighttime, batim, and yomam chasmu lamo lo yadu or, and in the daytime they would seal it up, and then it wouldn't know light. What does that mean? Milamich, who knows the name of Balimoma. They saw very rich people, and what would they do? Very smart tricks. They would take their fragrance and deposit it. They put it in savings, right? They give to the rich people who have a whole treasury of things. And they said, okay, that's a good place to put your fancy smelling a parsimon, balsam spice fragrances. Umanichin also base ginzehem. The rich people would take it and put it in their hidden chambers. La'erev bayim. Then the people of Zdom that own these things would come, smell out. Where's that good smelling balsam fragrance? Umarichin asoka kelev. It's sniff it out like a dog. Shenemar yashubu la'erev, as it says in Tilim, yashubu la'erev. They would go at nighttime, and yamuka kelev. Then they would howl like a dog. Yeah, the sobu ear, and they would go around the city. And they would go find the place and take all the money, not just their spices, not just their fragrances. They take all the money. Okay, next verse. Arum yalinu mibli levush. So they'll leave naked people with no clothing. The ain ksos bekara, and there'll be no clothing for the cold. What does that mean? Oh no, first we're going to continue 4 more psukim. So Chamor Yisomim, they would take the donkey of the orphans, and Yichablu Shar Almana, and they would also take the ox of the almana of the widow. They would take her ox. Gevulos Yasigu Eder. They would go and they would move the boundary markers, and Gazlu V'yiru, and they would go and steal and graze in other people's places. They would move the boundary. My yard ends here. Nope, it ends here. And they would graze in other people's property. And these poor people that we'll see that had no money, they'd end up just withering away. They would go to the grave, and they would swiftly put them by the heap, meaning they would die very quickly because they didn't give them any food. Okay, so now let's see more about what not to do if you want to be a good host. Darish Rabbi Yossi, this is your code of law, what not to do to be a good Darish Rabbi Yossi B'tzipori, Achter and Hahi, Leila Tlat, Meya, Machtarta. So Rabbi Yossi was expounding about Zdom. All of a sudden, that night in Tzipori, 300 tunnels were dug. So they were furious. Everyone came. Also, become a Tzarile. There was 300 robberies in one night because you start dashing about Zdom, telling people what to do. Put your spices, dig it out. So Amrulay, they told him, Yahabis Orche Legavit, you made a path for the robbers. So says Yossi, what Amrulu, the usual people that come to my shir aren't robbers. Amrulu, Mihabi Adana Dasi Gande. I didn't know that I attracted so many robbers to my shir. So now Rashi says that the next line is just to prove to you that Rabbi Yossi lived in Tzipori. When he passed away, in that the sewers of Tzipori were filled with blood. I mean, people were so distraught over his death. Rashi just said the tears just to show you that he lived in Tzipori. Tzipori in God. Was Tzipori? I thought Tzipori was up north. I haven't had all the tunnels. Right. Said they paved the way, but even up north there are tunnels. Yeah, wherever there are Arabs, there are tunnels. Yeah. Okay, so no, that was sorry. 1 second. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Continuing. So it says Amri de Islay. Okay, so they made the following whacked out rules. Yeah. The Islay Chatura. So if you own one ox, then you have to go graze everyone else's ox for one day. Mari Chad Yoma. If you have no oxen, then you have to go graze everyone else's oxen for 2 days. Right? So you're basically the guy has to take care of his own business, but now you have to take care of everyone else's business. So Ahu Yasma Bar Amartala, there was a certain Yasam, a orphan, the son of a widow. Habule Turi Lemare. So he brought his the ox to graze. So Azil Shaklinu Vekatlinu. So they took the ox and they killed it. This orphan, they made him graze. Oh, here's it is. They made him graze. Yeah, and then Uzzah he took, and they made him graze their stuff. He took and he killed it. So I'm not grazing, and he killed the animal. So Amr Lahu, they told them the Islay Tura. So now, yeah, the Islay Tura, Nishkol Chad Mashcha, the Leslay Tura, Nishkol Trey Mashchi. So 1 second, sorry. Yeah, the Islay Tura, if you have one ox, so Nishkol Chad Mashcha. What does it mean? Also to graze it for a day. Oh, sorry. So this guy went, this yuck that they made graze, he went and he killed the animal. And now he announced to everybody, whoever has one ox, come and take one piece of skin. And whoever does not have an ox, come take 2 pieces of skin. Right? So the rule was that they make you graze. They took this guy who had no animals. So he's like, I'm not doing this. And he killed the animal that they gave him to work. And he announced to all of Sdom, if you have only one ox, come take 1. If you have none, come take 2. Amrulay, the people of Sdom told him, my hi, what's this new announcement you're making? These new rules. Amrulay, he told them, don't worry, smart guy. Sov dina ketchilas dina. You're whacked out rules in the beginning of who has to graze. I have whacked out rules at the end of who's going to get the skin of dead animals. Ma tchilas dina, just like the beginning of your judgment was what? The islay tura marichat. If you have one ox, you must graze everyone else's ox, take everyone else's oxen for a day and go work them. And the leslay tura, if you have no oxen, then mari treyome. Then you have to take everyone else's for 2 days. So to me, even the ox that died that I killed, af softina. If you own one ox, come and take 1 piece of skin. So chad tura lishkol chad, and the leslay tura lishkol trey. And if you have no oxen, come take 2 pieces of skin. So that was his. That was his. I guess his rebellion against these rules. Now, the over b'mavra, if you'd come over the bridge, nesiv chad zuzah, you'd have to give 1 zuz. The lo over b'mavra, if you swam across, then nesiv trey. Then you have to give 2. I guess if not swim across, but I guess if you didn't come over the bridge, then you went different. Then you had to pay 2. The Havale Dara Delivni. So now, if someone came and they had bricks, they had certain bricks, Asi Kol, what would everyone do? Asi Kol Chad V'Chad and Shokil Chado. So, a person who had a whole row of bricks, so everyone came and took one, and then what would happen? Amrle Anachad the Shokli. They would say, give back the brick. And they would say, no, I only took 1. Not so much, just $1 I took from you. Yeah, the Havi Shadi Tume O Shimchi. So if they would now, someone would spread out in their yard onions and garlic, also everyone would take 1 of them. They would steal 1. And when he would approach them and say, you took my onions and my garlic, I'm like, no, Anachad the Shakli. I just took 1, it's not so bad. Yeah. Okay. Now, there are 4 judges in Sdom. Aberdani Hayub Sdom, Shekaru, Shakri, Vishakravi, Zaifi, Umatlidina. 4 names of the 4 judges. Now, Gemachi legs gets crazier and crazier, yeah? If somebody hit a woman and she ended up miscarrying, Gemachi lela issa, the Chavre. Someone hit, why is he hitting his wife's friend? Unclear. He hits his wife's friend and she miscarried. What would the rule be? Amrulay, so then they would go to the judge and they would try to figure out what the law has to say about this. Amrulay, the judges would tell them, Yahavu nihale, dini abr nihalech. Now, as retribution, as payback, you have to give him your wife so he can impregnate her and have a kid. So there was an attacker who killed his friends, whose friends hated his friend's wife. Let's say, I don't know, Reuben and Shimon. Reuben killed Shimon's wife. And now, what do you have to do? Reuben had to give his own wife to Shimon so Shimon can impregnate her and have a kid. That was the law. Okay. The pasak lele ude de chamra. If your horse's ear got chopped off, He wanted retribution. He wanted restitution. Yeah, what's the law? Amrulei habani hale ad dekadcha. You have to give him your horse, your donkey, until it grew back, until the ear grows back. Yeah. So, yeah, fine. Deparale lechavre, someone who's padale lechavre, one who injures their friend. So now this and causes blood to come out, right? So Reuven hits Shimon. Shimon starts bleeding. The law was Shimon can charge Reuven now for bloodletting. So the padale lechavre, Reuven hits his friend. Amrule, okay, havle igra de shakale dama. Listen, Reuven hit you. He took blood from you, bloodletting. He can now charge you. The attacker can charge the victim because he bloodletted him, because he did bloodletting to him. Okay, that's another rule. Another rule. To Aver b'mabra, now you're going across the on a boat. You're crossing with a boat. If you cross with a boat, you have arba zuz. You have to pay 4 zuz to get in. Yeah, the easy path would say 4 zuz. However, to Aver b'maya, if you swim across, then you have kamna zuz, double the price. Right? Backwards. You got to pay 8 zuz. So, okay. Zimnecha, the one time it happened, Asahu Koves, this launderer came, Ikla Hasam. He came there, Amruleh, Havz Abrazuze, give us 4 zuz. Amrlahu, Ana b'mai Avre. No, I didn't come on the boat. I had to swim across. Oh, you swim across? Amruleh, Imkain, Hav Tamna, Davarta b'maya. So, give us 8 zuz. Because you swam across the ocean, you swam across. That's 8 zuz. So what did he do? He said, "No way." He doesn't have any money on him. So lo yahiv, he didn't give it. So then Padyuhu, they beat him. So Asala commented on it. He came in front of the judges, and what was the law? Amarle havle agra. You, the guy that got beat, Mr. Visiting Laundry guy that got beat. So you have to go pay your attacker, the Shakale Dama. He took blood from you. And you have to pay 8 zuz for crossing by swimming. Now, it's interesting, Eliezer, the servant of Avram, numerous times ended up in Sdom. So now we're going to go through a bunch of stories with Eliezer, Eved of Avram, ending up in Sdom for different reasons. So, Eliezer, Eved of Avram, Isrami, he happened to be in Sdom one day. Yeah, either he made a wrong turn or who knows. Now, Padyohi. So what they do? They beat him. Nope, blood came out. So Asalakami Daina, they came to the judge. So Amarle, Havle Igra, the judge tells Eliezer, go pay him for removing blood from you. The Shakale Dama. The Shakale Dama. So now Shakil Glala and Padyohi Ihu Dayana. Smart Eliezer. What did he do? He went and he beat the judge and caused blood to come out. So the judge says, Amar Mai, smart Jews, right? Gotta be a smart Jew. Amar Mai, what happened over here? He said, listen, you want me to pay my attacker for causing blood to come out? Well, you have to pay me money because I caused your blood to come out. Why don't you just pay my attacker and my money will stay in my pocket? Right? That's about to happen. Amar Agar the Nafik Li Minach. The money you wanted me to give, you give. The Zuzi Didi and my money, my money will stay right where it is. Yeah, smart Jew. So Havile Puryasa, back to those domes. People in Zdom, they had this bed. The Have Megani Ala Orchin. Oh, look, they did Achnas Orchim, right? How nice. They had a motel with a nice bed for you. The problem was, if you were in the NBA, if you were very tall, Kimarich, so they would cut you. So Geizile. So, and kigots, and if you were too short, then matchinle, they would stretch you out. Well, Eliezer Aved Avram one time, Itzel Hasan ended up there. Amrule, they said, come, Gania Puria. Come sleep on the bed. Amr Lahon. No, sorry. Nidra Nadra Min Yoma Demisas Ima. I made a vow the day that my mother died that lo Ganina Apuria. I'm not going to sleep on beds. But this way, he avoided that. This reminds me that one time the famous Satmar Rav was a big tzaddik. He lived in Florida by a very wealthy person's house. So they asked the Satmar Rav, they said, do you want a bed? Sorry, not Satmar Rav. They asked Rav Ruderman, the Rosh Yeshiva Ner Yisrael, who came there. And they asked him, "Do you want a bed?" He said, "Of course I want a bed. What's the question?" The last guy that was here, the Satmarov, he didn't have a bed. He sat by a desk learning. When he fell asleep, and then he got back up. So he didn't have a bed. So maybe you want the same thing. Either way, Eliezer didn't take a bet. Kevin Misram. Okay, now what happened? Kevin Misram Anya. When there was a poor person in town, Yahabule kol chad v'chad dinara, and they would give it terrible. They'd give each person one coin, uksiv shmet, and then write their name on the coin. Yeah, Steiber, Maravitz, Laws, Gleizer. Now what happened was the rift alahave, but they wouldn't give the guy, the poor person, any bread, just money. And apparently he couldn't buy either bread with his money either. The rift alahave mamte, but they wouldn't give him any bread. So what would happen? Kihave missed, he would die. And then Asi called Chad and chuckled a day. Each guy would go back and take back his coin with his name on it. Yeah? Okay. Hachi asni beinayu. That, okay, so now they made the following rule. Yeah? Kol man de mazmin gavr lebe hilula l'shalach glima. So the rule was anybody who invites a guest to the wedding, you must remove his clothing. No inviting guests to weddings. Any invited guest gets stripped of his clothing. So now, what happened? Eliezer, another smart Jew. Eliezer, there was a wedding, and Eliezer lost some. For some reason, Eliezer ends up at this wedding. Obviously, they didn't give any bread. And okay, they didn't give any bread. When it was time to feast with everybody, As Eliezer, the Yosef, and he would sit, let's say for the kula, the whole long tables full of people from Sdom. He would sit at the end. So Amruleh, they would ask him, who invited you here? So Amruleh, so he would point, this guy invited me. Who? The Yosef. So Atazamantam. So he said, Yosef, he invited me. So now the guy got nervous. They're going to go and strip his clothing from him because you can't invite someone to the wedding. Omar Dilma Shama maybe they're going to overhear that Da'ana Azante, and then what's going to happen? The Hai Gavra, and they're going to go and take my clothing. So Shakal Glime Hahu, the Yosef Gabe, he just took off his clothing, threw it to them, and ran away. Vira hit Lebra, and he ran outside. So then Eliezer went to the next guy, and they said, who invited you here? He said, this guy did. And that would happen. He went to each guy and accused them of inviting him to the feast. Each guy took off their clothing, threw it, and ran away. So the Chain Avad the Kulu. Ahad enough Kulu until they all left, and Eliezer left by himself with this wonderful feast. And he ate all the food. Okay. So Havya Rabisa, there was this young girl, the Habu Kamafke Rifta, she gave bread La'anya to a poor person. So what happened? So the La'anya B'chatza in the neighborhood, Iglai Milsa, word got out, someone gave food to somebody else. What they do, terrible, Shafiu Dubsha, they covered up her with honey. The Ukme al Eger Shur, they put her on top of the wall of the fence to the city of the gate. They put her on top there, and also Zibori Valfu, and the Zibori, the bees came and ate her. The Hainu Dichsiv, and that's what it says that Hashem said, Yomer Hashem, Zakas, the screaming of Sodom V'Amorah, Ki Rabba, it's so great. So much terrible things happening. But Amar Rabbi Yehuda, what's that going on? Amar Rab al Iske Reba. It's going on the matters of this Reba, this young girl that this happened to. That's all the yelling and all the commotion was about. Okay, so that is Sodom. Don't be like Sodom, yeah? The Meraglim, but they don't have a portion in the next world. The people that died out spoke badly upon Israel. They died out in the plague. They died out in this world, and they were plagued. They died out in the next world. The congregation of Korach does not get Olam Haba. It's going to cover them up the earth in this world. They're going to be destroyed, perished from amongst the congregation. Olam Haba. Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Eliezer Omer Aleim Amar Akasav. Upon them, the verse is stated, Hashem Hashem kills, but He revives. He brings down to the depths, and He raises back up. So according to Rabbi Eliezer, they will get a portion in the next world. So the congregation of Korach has no portion in the next world. They're going to be covered up in this world and perished from the next world. So Rabbi Yehuda ben Beseira Omer, he says, they're like a lost item that everyone is searching for. I strayed like a sheep. I ended up straying like a lost person, but I didn't forget your mitzvahs. So they're going to be almost like a lost object. They made a wrong turn, but it sounds like they're also going to come back and be found once again. Okay, Vayikach Korach. Korach took. What did he take? Amarei Shlakish Shalachach Mekach Rola Atzmo. He made a bad investment. He cut a bad deal. Why? That's one shot. Korach Shenase Karcha b'Yisrael. He created a bald spot in Israel because people died. Because of him, that created a certain vacuum in the Jewish people. He was the son of Yitzhar. What was Ben Yitzhar? Ben Shehir Tiach Alav. It's Kol Olam Kitzarayim. He heated up the whole world like the heat of the noon of the middle of the day. He caused so much anger. He caused so much anger in the world. Yeah, he caused so much anger to happen in the world. Ben Kahas, he was the son of Kahas. Ben Shikashine Molida. He ended up knocking out the teeth of the people that gave birth to him, meaning he caused a very bad name for his ancestors. Ben Levi, Ben Shenasa Levia Begehenim. They're going to have a whole funeral for him, escorting him in Gehenim, in Gehenim. The lecture of Nami Ben Yaakov. It says Ben Korach, Ben Yitzhar, Ben. It doesn't say Ben Yaakov. Why don't we trace Korach back all the way back to Yaakov? So it gets to Ben Levi and then it stops. Why? And don't tell me because you can't interpret Yaakov's name. You could. Ben She'ikev Aslaganim, the one who stumbled his way into Gehenna. So why didn't it say that he's the son of Yaakov? Amr of Shmuel says of Shmuel by Rav Yitzchak. Yaakov Bikesh Rakim Alatzo. Yaakov requested mercy upon himself. Shenemar, that it says, the verse says in Bereshis, Besodom al tavu nafshi, that like into their conspiracy I should not fall, and the kahalim al teichet kavodi, and their congregation my honor should not go down with them. What is that referring to? Besodom al tavu nafshi. Yaakov foresaw this is going to happen, and he said, I don't want to be part of that. Don't be part of their conspiracy. Elu meraglim, and the kahalim al teichet kavodi, and their congregation, my honor shouldn't go down with them. Zeh adas korach. That is referring to adas korach. So Yaakov davened that he shouldn't be mentioned when Korach is mentioned, and therefore he was not mentioned. And we will stop here.